This is my first live stream experience, so you have to sort of bear with me if I look stupid in any way. Do you know
No,
what I
no
mean?
problem at all. This is my first live stream interview, so we're kind of in the same boat here as well.
Yeah, we're both live stream virgins, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of phrasing it. All
Sweet.
right, man. So I think we can hop right into it. Thank you again for joining us today, Matt.
You're very welcome, mate. Anytime, anytime.
And
Let's do it.
yeah, let's just start off. You want to just introduce yourself, kind of who you are, where you live, your profession, photography, and everything?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Matt J Neale. I'm from Newport in South Wales, which is in the UK. For those that may not know that. My preferred photography style is city. Well, I sort of, it's difficult to class really for me because um, it's not really strictly street photography. So I'd like to sort of class it as city, street, and like humans. But
For sure.
it's always in cities. I love urban settings. Um, and like sort of urban landscapes in a way as well, cityscapes, things like that. So yeah, it's all based around cities really, and my love for cities, and um, I don't know how else I would describe it really,
Yeah,
but cities basically.
yeah. Just kind of capturing like the urban feeling, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because I know
not
you do
into
a
sort
lot
of.
of. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know you do a lot of street photography as well from your pictures and everything.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do enjoy other types of photography. Like, I was just about to say, sort of like nature stuff. Obviously, Wales, where I live or where I'm from, is like extremely beautiful place. It's very green. There's only like three cities really in Wales. I think
Oh,
it's
really?
three. Yeah, it's like Newport, where I'm from, Cardiff, the capital, and Swansea. I think perhaps Wrexham is a city up in the north, but yeah, it's three or four maximum. So most of the country is just sort of natural landscape. But you'd think I'd be into that, but not really. No.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to here in Alberta. We got like two major cities with Edmonton and Calgary.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we got like the Rocky Mountains. We were talking earlier, having like it's like a 3 hour drive from my house here in Edmonton. Yeah, same here, man. Like we don't have much when it comes to cityscape aside from the two major cities.
Yeah. I don't know. Like maybe I sounded like I don't like nature then, but that's complete. That's not true at all. Do you know what I mean? I really do enjoy sort of exploring nature and camping and things like that. But photography wise, I'm just sort of not that interested in. Well, I wouldn't say interested. Making a rod for my own back here, really, but I'm just not into it at the present moment. It's all about urban cities and things like that for me at the moment. So
Yeah, definitely more about
yeah,
the urban jungle than the nature jungle.
that's right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, the
For
urban
sure.
jungle.
I
Cool.
was that reminds me. So, how long have you been kind of shooting this photography in the urban setting?
So I started in like 2016 when I got to Wuhan, actually. Um, and yeah, so only what are we, 5 years from there now? So only about 5 years, but during those 5 years, it's been a sort of off and on thing as well. It hasn't been completely solid 5 year photography journey. It's been sort of cut up into sections, if you like.
Oh yeah, yeah. 5 years
Yeah.
is a long time though now.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a long time, but I think um, I'm still in my I'm still in the sort of infancy of my photography journey or career, whatever you want to call it. Um, I think what was it? Someone said, I think I saw something about if you want to be a master in something, it takes like 8 years, but 8 years of like solid work, like full time. So if I think in that way, I don't think I've done probably only done like 2 years, like full time, photography. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I've
no,
still
definitely.
got a long way to go to where I want to be and things like that. So I see myself as early. It's the early stages still.
For sure. Yeah, that's honestly like something that I myself love about photography, that no matter what stage you're at, there's always more to learn and grow from, right? Like there's always like new styles, new techniques and everything, right?
Yeah.
It was even talking to like one of my photographer friends. He's been at it for over 10 years now, working. And it's been like he has his own full time job, so it's mostly on the sides whenever he has free time. So similar, I guess, to what you said. 10 years, but really, how long has he really been at it? But yeah, he's even with him, he's like there's always new things that he's learning, right? New ways to kind of use his camera, new ways to edit, different poses and everything.
That's it. And I think as well, I think you're totally right. And also the style sort of evolves with time as well, and you discover new things that you like, you know. Just at the beginning here, I said I'm not into nature photography. Who knows? I may become a landscape photographer in the future. I just, that's what I'm trying to say is that we're always growing and evolving and learning, and um, who knows where it's going to take us. But yeah, I think photography has been sort of a almost a savior for me, really, especially over the last year, because obviously everyone knows,
Of course.
what's going on. I don't even really want to talk about it, but yeah,
For sure. Before we move on to the next question, I'll there's a few in the chat that we can discuss.
yeah,
So
sure,
first one
sure,
here is
sure.
what does it take to go from casual photography to a more professional photography to kind of, I guess, make it into your career?
Uh, See, that's a difficult question for me because I wouldn't I'm not really professional. Like, I don't think I'm professional if I'm being like totally, totally honest. I have
Mm-hmm.
published a book recently, independent with an independent publisher though. But I've had two exhibitions as well. But I'm not like sort of earning money consistently from photography. I do have a normal job at the moment because I need to. But what I would suggest, but I am sort of getting there, I think, hopefully, fingers
For
crossed.
sure.
But
On the path, you definitely.
yeah, yeah, I'm on the path. But my advice for someone who wants to take that step is to just network with people. I think that's the most important thing. And obviously, you need to be pretty good at what you do as well. You need to put in the work and um, try to stay consistent and improve. But I think the main thing, honestly, is like networking, who you meet, try to meet new people all the time, try to, speak to many different people from all of like what we're doing now,
For sure.
you came at me and said, let's do this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I think having a let's do it attitude is a good piece of advice for that question, really. Just meeting new people and speaking to as many people as you can, and then opportunities come from those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. If I can just elaborate on it real quick, yeah, I agree. Like it's all about with anything, practice and time, right? Especially with photography, you just gotta keep on making more work. Wait for, of course, network, and then have something to show. Like you said, you gotta be good at it as well, right? So have a body of work to show that, like, hey, a proof of concept, basically, that hey, this is what I can do. This is how I can help you out. Because end of the day, it's a give and take. You're providing a service to whichever potential clients, and in return, they're providing you financial compensation. But yeah, I definitely think networking, especially for photography, is probably, like you said, the biggest thing. And then yeah, just kind of keeping at it, improving your craft, focusing more, I guess, if I were to add, focusing more on improving yourself and your work rather than how can I make the transition from like a casual to professional photographer. And kind of like you said, I feel like it's hard to classify a real professional photographer, if I were to say, because like you said, you have some commission work here and there, and same with me, like I commission work here and there. But again, personally, I wouldn't classify myself as professional either. And if I really think about it, I'm not sure at what level I would kind of consider myself a professional photographer. You know, like compared to someone who's picked up a camera for the first time, then we both would be considered professional in that regard. But then take someone who's dedicated their entire life, then we are like novices compared to that.
Yeah, yeah, you make some real good points there. You said something which sparked a thought in my mind then, which was like looking after yourself as well. Like, just not. There's 2 points I want to make here. The first one is like, look, you said to sort of you need to take care of yourself, and I think that's really important. Not just about the photography side, but if you're sort of um, healthy and fit and in a good mental place, that's obviously going to help as well. But the other thing I wanted to mention was photography. We're sort of using this umbrella term, aren't we? And photography has a lot of different professions inside it, some of which are extremely different. So I think while the advice I said might apply to some of those strands of photography, it may not to others. Um, I really have no idea about product photography, for example. I don't know how you'd get started in that really. So that's just an example. There's, lots of different ways to sort of go about it.
Yeah,
If
that's
you catch
actually
my flow.
yeah, no, that is a really good point too. Because yeah, like you said, we are using photography as a more umbrella term because people dedicate their entire lives to, let's say, like product photography, like you said, wedding photography, so on and so forth. And that's not even touching on like the video aspect. Um, uh, there's so much more work with video as well. But I think your original point about networking, making connections, um, it holds true for this overall umbrella term of photography, because I mean, I personally don't do much product photography either. But from people I've talked to, seen on YouTube and stuff, it is a lot of networking as well, reaching out to businesses, people who need that service, and like you said, networking. They pass on if you do a good job, they contact more people and so on and so forth. And then yes, unless you have anything else to add before we move on to this, I definitely agree with the whole taking care of yourself, because burnout definitely is a big thing. And I know in some of your videos you mentioned how this past year for you and for a lot of people, it's been a very trying one, being locked at home with COVID and everything. For you again, yeah, having to flee from Wuhan, it's definitely like it can take a toll on like the mental and physical health as well, right? So it's definitely, I feel like prioritizing your own personal health first is a good lesson to learn as well.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that 100%. 100%. Yeah.
All right, man. You've touched on this a bit already, but if you want to elaborate, like what really got you into photography from the get go?
Yeah, so I do, like you just mentioned one of my videos there. I sort of talk about it in one of the videos I put up on YouTube, or maybe a couple. But it was literally the day I got to Wuhan, really. But if I can just give you some context before that. So I've always been sort of interested in art and arty things. For example, in school, I was into drama and acting and things like that, which naturally gravitated towards studying film in university. And then I changed my course and I went specifically into documentary film, which I studied and I completed that. And then uh, I thought to myself, when I finished university, I need to go somewhere completely different, just experience something new. So I chose China, Wuhan, and um, it was, yeah, like I said, it was the first day I got there. I got out of the taxi from the airport and it was night, and I was just in like awe of the city. I was just like, what the hell? Because I've never been to. Um, I think probably the biggest city I've ever been to is like Barcelona or London or something like that. So never any huge cities with huge skyscrapers. I'm talking 70 floors, things like that. Like I know you get in the US and Canada, but we don't really have it here. So that was all new for me. All these new sights, sounds, senses, all my senses were sort of, you know, I just felt invigorated, and I just thought to myself, I want to take photos of this place, and it all stems from that moment, really. And I had a little, I had a Canon 600D. I think it's called a Rebel T3i in the States or something like that, Rebel
Yeah.
TTI, and that's what I had, and I was just going around the city and shooting, and that's where it came from. It was Wuhan, so I do credit that city with a lot, really, with a lot of my how it all started.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I think especially nowadays, since people connect Wuhan to not the most positive things, considering what started from there. It's great to, especially with your photography book, kind of see how beautiful that city is. Um, yeah, like I know you posted pictures on your Instagram from it. I did order your book. It's not in yet for me. I think probably because of
Thank you, man. That's
yeah,
very
of
kind
course,
of you.
man.
Nice.
Of course, still
Thanks.
waiting on that. Uh, but yeah, definitely. I feel like yeah, capturing the beauty of the city, it's very important and very especially given the everything that's happened the past year. But yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty interesting that Wuhan was the spark of your photography kind of process, I guess.
I mean, who knows? I may have sort of been interested in it anyway because, like I said, I was doing documentary film. I was in sort of communication with friends from that university who were doing like the documentary photography course. So I was always in and around that sort of world anyway, sort of film photography. So maybe it was a natural thing, but it really was a thought in my mind when I got out the taxi. Is the first thing I did was I whipped out my phone and I took a picture of the skyscrapers, and I was like, yeah, I wanna climb that and take some photos.
For sure.
So that's how it
Yeah,
started.
definitely. And I like how you mentioned the creative aspect of when you were a kid, and kind of growing from that. Because I know photography can be quite technical as well, but I feel like it is very much a creative art, right? And a lot of people I talk to who are into photography, yeah, they always like 9 times out of 10 they'll say like, yeah, I had like this creative itch as a kid, and then that eventually led to photography.
Yeah, I think it's innate, isn't it? It's within you. I think in some. I mean, we've all got creative streaks in us.
For sure,
Um, it's just how we express that, I suppose. And my way is through photography now.
for sure.
Um, yeah, but I think it is a born thing. You know, it's a I don't know. It can be learned.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm out of my
Yeah.
depth here.
Yeah, we're kind of going to like a more biological, psychological
Yeah.
basis here. But since we're on the topic of one, anyway, we'll move on to the next question, which is, I mean, you've already touched on why Wuhan, but what was it like just living there, being surrounded, in this country that you're not too familiar with? Because I don't believe you speak Chinese or Mandarin.
I just speak the basics, really.
Yeah.
I probably lost most of it now at this point. But why was it not why Wuhan? But what was it like? Well, Wuhan is the fifth biggest city in China. I think it's got a population of around 12 million. I think it's 10 to 12 million, something like that. So it's huge, absolutely huge city. Everything's going on at all times, 24/7. Um, it's an amazing place. It's chaotic. It's beautiful, but it's dirty in places. It's it's a real um, sort of colorful palette, if you like, of a city. It's not strictly like one thing. There's really nice places. There's really sort of not so nice places. Um, the it's extremely dense. There's just so much going on. I mean, I think the main thing for me was just what I used to do was I just used to set off for the day, and I'd pick like an area on the map, like a geographical area on the map, and I would just walk around in that area. I I travel to that area, then I'd walk around in that area, and it was just amazing. Like every time I went out, even in my like fourth year there, I would go and I discover something new. It's also a city that is growing at a phenomenal rate. Like I've never known a city. This goes for a lot of places in China. I have to say the development, the rate of development is just crazy. There's a new skyscraper going up every week, it seems. Um, Yeah, like for example, I was living in this one high-rise building, and it was within a sort of uh, very traditional looking community. You know, like if you see like old, if I said old sort of China to you, ancient China, you'd imagine, little alleyways and things like that. It was really like that. And then when I got back from the summer, I'd only had like a month and a half home. It was gone,
Oh wow.
flattened, gone. Yeah, and I didn't even know it was got. It was just like they'd done it, moved everyone out, flattened it for new development. So the rate of which the city was changing its face was just incredible. I couldn't believe it. Every time I went away and went back, it looked different. You know,
Hmm.
new bridge, new this, new that. So it really is an interesting place. There's a lot of history there, but it was also a difficult place to live for me personally. It's not easy to live in China for someone who's from Wales, for example. Well, me anyway, in my own experience, there were some difficult times, different culture issues, and things like that. Um, but yeah, overall, I loved it. I really loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. And yeah, you're talking about how like Wuhan's always changing, and yeah, of course with China, that's one of the things it's known for. It reminds me of the hospital that they got up in like a week or whatever during COVID.
Yeah.
It's ironic. Yeah, like my fellow like Edmontonians will tell you, like construction here, man, it could be a decade and nothing will really change. I got like a pothole that's by my house. I've been living in like this house for since like 2015, so 6 years. Pothole's still there. We've had construction on like one of our like transit systems for like years on end. Yeah, it's just I find it interesting contrasting the construction work here where we live versus like you said in China, a place that is really known for how fast it moves.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, I think it's just want to be a little bit careful. Like, I would totally agree with you in the sense that the UK is similar to what you just said about sort of being quite slow, but there's reasons why development is slower here, and it's basically rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'll say about that really. But there's not much happening in that department, I don't think. Or there is, but not in the same way. We'll put it that way.
Mm, fair enough. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. I guess same with us here. Like it's easy to, kind of say this from the ground level since we don't really see how everything kind of works in the more executive in the government branches. What's that exactly happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think that's like a point to make is that like a lot of people sort of used to say to me, "Oh, like what's going on like in China?" Like like they have this view, they have this like stereotype imprinted into their brain that China's this like you know, it's pretty much it was like living there. I felt like the same as here. Do you know what I mean? I never felt. Actually, I'll say this one thing, super important point that I do want to make. I've never felt so safe in any country that I've traveled to. I'm lucky enough, to have been to a fair few countries, but in China, it was like the safest place I've ever been. Honestly, like never felt so safe on the streets there. 3 a.m. down a random alley, no one's gonna touch you.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I'm not just saying that. It's weird, but so safe.
Yeah, that's actually really good to hear, especially yeah, again, don't want to be kind of careful what I say, but a lot of people have um or some people have that negative stigma about what it's like to be in certain countries like China. So it's good to hear someone who's been there kind of say that like yeah, it's a very safe, very beautiful place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all know the controversies with the government there and what's going on. But I'm talking about sort of the people I met. The day-to-day life on the street is really really good. I think it's probably just a bit of a shame what's the way it's sort of going, in my own personal opinion.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah, actually, going back a minute, just gonna answer one of these questions in the chat.
Sure.
It's about what we talked about earlier a bit. So someone asked, how exactly do you know what kind of style for your photography you want to do? Or I guess you've already touched on how you got into kind of street urban photography. Um, but I guess if you're giving advice to someone who's trying to figure out their niche, what would you say?
Just keep shooting. Really is the general advice. Excuse me. Sorry. What how it happened with me was I took inspiration from a film at the time. So I just got to Wuhan, and I think it was Blade Runner 24. Is it 2049? Yeah, 2049 had just come out, and I absolutely fell in love with that film. It's just vision. It's a work of art. That film, honestly, it is absolutely amazing. Everything, the visual, the sort of the cinematography, even the soundtrack, the whole thing. But anyway, I was super inspired by Blade Runner, so I started to sort of edit my images, my cityscapes to look futuristic and look like Blade Runner because that's what I really liked at the time. So I think that was a good way for me to sort of um, spark my interest, practice something new, pass over something that I like into my work. So I would recommend that really if you've got any other interests that you like, try to bring inspiration from that into your work. Um, yeah, what was the question? Did I answer the question or did I go off on a tangent? Sorry, guys, I may go off on a tangent because that's what I do. Sorry.
That's all
So
part of the
just reel me
process,
back in
for sure.
if I do that. Sorry.
No, I think that's a good way. Because you're talking about kind of finding inspiration. Yeah, the original question was like how do you know what style of photography is right for you? But I think that's a good way to look at it. Kind of look at what inspires you. Start from that, and then kind of see where you grow.
Yeah. I think for me, I've always known though it would be in cities or on the street or urban settings, like we mentioned at the beginning. I've always known that. I've always looked at cities it just feels right when I'm in a city for me. I think
Hmm.
you just know within you, it feels right. And when I'm in like a big city like London, Wuhan, Shanghai, you know, I I have this good feeling within myself, and I want to make images.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like questions like this, it really comes down to starting somewhere, finding that initial inspiration, and then kind of seeing where like your gut or like your heart or your mind takes you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just start really.
Hmm.
Just practice. You can practice in your house. If you're really new at photography, it's really good to sort of practice on your own family and things like that. Because it can be quite difficult. Um, yeah, I've been doing that recently. I recently bought a new camera, and I was like, right, what am I going to do? So it's like, right, I'll just take some family photos, but try to make it street style in the house. You know what I mean? So
For
it's
sure.
like I was trying to get creative with limitations. I think that's a good way to sort of put it as well. Limit yourself in certain ways, and you can improve then.
Hmm. Going back to actually, this kind of relates. So you're saying how Blade Runner was one of your kind of inspirations, how you wanted to edit similar to that, right? Um, yeah, one of the questions here in the chat is, you take a lot of your Wuhan photography is at nighttime. So what exactly do you find appealing about kind of the visuals of night in photography, in Wuhan? Or was like is there any particular reason you shot mainly at night?
I wouldn't say I shot mainly at night. I know my book was based on Wuhan's night, but I well actually I suppose I did start off shooting mainly at night. Um, and basically the city completely changes. So you'll have like in the day it looks one way and it's still pretty cool, but it tends to be quite hazy and smoggy. Um, but then at night, every building is lit up, like everything. And if you go to the river, the Yangtze River, which flows through Wuhan, and you stand on one of the banks, either one, all of the sort of uh, skyscrapers, if you like, there, and they'll play like a light show, but the light show is actually like a story. So you'll see like some ancient Chinese warrior like running, and he runs across the build, and then he's fight. It's absolutely incredible. They really the night in Wuhan. That's just one thing. Also, the city comes alive, especially in summer, because it's so hot there. They call it one of the three furnace cities. There's two other cities that are like the hottest in China, and Wuhan's one of them. So in the summer, which is a long season as well, it's like from like March till it can be October really, and even November it can be hot. So nighttime is when everyone sort of comes out of the hiding places, and they socialize on the street. And I think that ties in with small living spaces as well. So people like to go outside. The streets are alive. There's street food on every corner. There's just things to see and do, sights, smells, everything. So I think the night really was alive in Wuhan, and that's why I found it so visually appealing. And also neon lights. You don't get it in my country, so that's just another thing that's really cool. I like
Definitely.
neon, even though it's not very environmentally friendly.
Yeah, definitely the aesthetic for night photography is, yeah, yeah, like you said, very different from daytime. I feel like, especially with neon lights and the city itself, because a lot of cities like Wuhan, kind of busier cities, tend to prioritize that nightlife, and just because of that, it's easier to capture more things at night, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think as well, perhaps it was a confidence issue at first, which I still suffer with, by the way. I'm not going to hide. So I'm not going to shy away from the fact I have confidence issues with like street photography sometimes. Some days it hits me where I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it today. I'm not feeling it. But no, going back to the nighttime, it would give you another layer of sort of protection, not protection, like anonymity, I guess. Another layer of you can sort of blend into the background if you wear dark clothes and things like that. You're not so noticeable. So maybe that was, I mean, that's just like a side point, really. But maybe that played into it as well.
Mm, definitely. And I just wanted to say real quick, Matt. I know you sent me like all the links to the pictures, so if at any point you want me to bring any of them up, I can do that as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you could show, I guess. Let's have a look.
And let's see. Yeah, we got like quite a few
Oh,
questions about Wuhan here as well. Sorry, go on.
yeah, sorry. If you show the futuristic cityscape one in the China,
For sure.
in the China section, that will give them an idea of, because that's when I was really into Blade Runner at the time. So perhaps that'll be a
For
good one to
sure.
show
I'll
for now.
come up the screen.
I'll answer a question while you're doing that. So,
For sure.
was I in Wuhan when the pandemic broke out? Yes, I was. I'll just give you a little backstory on that. So, in December 2019, I was at home in the UK for Christmas, and then I went back for a week to Wuhan. And actually, when I was home in Christmas, it was Time Magazine tweeted a video about this new mystery virus in Wuhan. And of course, I was interested in it because I'm in Wuhan. So it was like December 2019 when it first hit my radar, and I was like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" My parents were like, "Don't go back, it's scary," but I was like, "No, I'm going back." So I went back for a week, but we were in like full masks and everything, like really taking like super precaution. And then, like, when I got to Wuhan, like, no one wearing masks. No one even knew what the hell was going on. They were looking at me and my girlfriend like, why? It was like a respirator, not a mask as well. It was a proper respirator. So people were looking at me like, why? What's this foreigner wearing like a respirator for? You know what I mean? But little did they know, 2 days later, everyone was wearing masks. And then, like, at the end of that week, so I was in Wuhan for like 6 days, and then I got a call from like my sister who rang my girlfriend, and she said, "This is like 3 in the morning for us, like 3 a.m." she was like, "Oh, they're gonna lock down the city. You gotta get out if you wanna if you want to get out. We don't know how long it's gonna be and stuff like that." So we took like half an hour to make a decision, threw suitcases together, and left really. But there's if that person prints, is it prints? There's a video on my YouTube. If you want to, like, I sort of documented that journey. If you're interested in that, you can see it there. Cool.
For sure, yeah. And I have up the picture you're referring to as well right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I can definitely see the inspirations here.
Is it the? Sorry, I can't see it. My
Oh
end.
yeah,
Is
no
it?
worries.
Is it
Um,
the blue one?
Futuristic
Is
city, yeah.
Yeah. It's. I think that's a drone shot. I did it with a
Oh really? Yeah. There's
Mavic drone.
yeah, it's a long exposure as well because you can see with the
Yeah,
cars racing by as well.
that's it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you can see the sort of Blade Runner in that, I guess. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
I can see it.
Um, yeah. So I was gonna say, what was it? So because you said it was shot on a drone, right?
Yeah, that was shot with the Mavic Pro drone. That
Nice.
was, yeah.
What's the drone laws like over there?
When I first started, like non-existent. You can pretty much just do what the hell you like. Now I'm not so sure. I think they've introduced some stricter measures, but it's still pretty much like you can just fly anywhere really
Oh,
in China.
yeah, definitely. What's it like in Wales, in Newport?
The UK is extremely strict, and I take the rules very seriously because the fines are extremely,
Yeah,
extremely high, which I cannot afford. So I take the drone laws here very seriously.
yeah. Same here
Um,
in Canada as well.
yeah, but um, there's spots to do it here, which is good. But I just haven't really been. I haven't flown. I can't remember the last time I flew a drone. I don't think it was this year, to be honest,
Mhm.
which is a shame. I should do more drone flying.
Yeah,
I really should.
definitely. Yeah, it's very hard here as well. Because yeah, same here. The fines are outrageously high. It's insane.
Yeah.
And yeah, getting like a even if you have a proper drone license over here, it's still very restrictive as well. I'm not sure if you've heard about like the Mavic Mini under 250 like grams or whatever. That
Yeah, it's
it doesn't fall
249, isn't it?
249. Yeah, exactly.
I love
DJI knew what
that.
they were doing with that.
Love
Uh,
it.
yeah, my one of my friends has that. It really like less risk with it, I guess, right? Because it kind of falls underneath like the minimum.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, going this is one of the questions that we were going to discuss anyway, and someone asked it in chat. What made you decide that you wanted to create your photo book?
Oh, that is a good question. Well, there's a number of reasons, really. I think making something physical is really important in the digital world that we're in now. Having something physical, for me at least, is really important because I do like to look through photo books, and also printing your work in general, not just with in books and things like that, but printing your work as a photographer, I think is really important because it's just not the same on a screen. Really, you just don't get the same experience, and also you can learn because I think with a screen, for me, I can look at a photo and instantly quickly look at something else, you know. But with the photo on a page, well, maybe that's not a good example, but with the photo on a page, I find I study it more, so I can sort of, gain an insight into how I made it and what I should do to improve, things like that. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make a photo book. Another reason was I wanted something to remember Wuhan by, because I'm pretty sure now that I'm not going back, at least anytime soon. So I wanted to sort of have a memento, if you want. What I was originally going to do was I was going to create a zine. So I posted something on Twitter, and then this publisher got in touch with me and was like, I'd love to make a book with you." So that's what we did. Small independent publisher in England, just over the border here from me. So that's what we did, and I just thought it was a good way for me to um, put together a collection of work, because when I go out, I've been thinking about the individual image, and I think when you actually print off your photos, put them next to each other, sort of find what fits with what, and create a story or a series or something like that, it's really helpful for future work as well. I think it can, inspire you to create. I get ideas basically from when I'm looking at my prints for future images, if you understand what I'm saying.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one of the points you made about studying the picture longer when you have a physical print. That's
Mm,
a really good point because especially like a lot of pictures we're posting on Instagram, like 99% of people they'll look at it for a second, give that double tap, and then keep scrolling, right? I'm guilty of it as well with other with
yeah,
people's
we all
posts as
are, aren't
well.
we?
Of course, yeah. It's just kind of the nature of social media. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like once you have something, like we are saying, something physical in your hand that you're looking at, you really study the picture a lot longer. So yeah, that was a very good point.
I'll just add to that just briefly is that as well, because it's printed, is usually larger than a
Hmm.
screen. So, you can see things in the image that you wouldn't necessarily see on a screen as well. So that's an interesting point, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because going back to the whole Instagram thing, a lot of people, again, like 99% of people are looking at it from their phones, which compared to an actual printed out picture is a much smaller real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, print your work, guys.
Yeah,
Make books. You can
yeah. I was watching.
self-publish
Yeah.
now as well. Just self-publish stuff.
Hmm.
I'm probably going to do it soon, or maybe like at the end of the year, I'll self-publish something if no one wants to publish with me.
All right, you got like something else in the works, or
Possibly.
mhm.
That's all I'll
Keep
say
on
on,
hush
on that
hush for sure.
one.
Yeah, no worries. Don't want to give away too much. That's exciting though.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, cool. Yeah, you've touched on this as well with some of the questions, but then what was it like, kind of having to leave Wuhan, going back to Wales, and from your video, you were kind of in that little creative rut before you found film photography. So kind of
Yeah.
just that, I guess your kind of thought process during that time, what you were going through, and what kind of led you to film photography.
Okay. So yeah, leaving Wuhan was obviously extremely stressful at the time, and stressful for everyone in the world. By like March 2020, everyone was in it, wasn't it? So we all know how it feels. So I won't deep dive into that too much. But I think, you know, it was a shock to my system, I suppose. I had a lot of freedom. I was traveling a lot, just felt free. And then I just felt like I was in, you know, I really don't want to sound like, my life sucks, because it really doesn't. I'm so lucky, and I am really extremely grateful for what I've got. And I've got an amazing family behind me who support me. I've got, like, a good standing in the world, when I look at other things that are happening. So I don't want to really put too much of a downer on it. But just want to acknowledge that it's been a difficult time, and it's affected me creatively. And perhaps I'm the sort of person that allows it to affect me a bit too much, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, and then I thought, right, I can't do the same sort of photography that I've been doing. So what am I going to do? So I was like, right, I'm going to buy a film camera. Well, I already had a film camera actually, and I bought it in Japan. Um, a Canon AE1 program, if that means anything to anyone. I love cameras. Uh, but anyway, yeah, it's a really nice. It's actually probably one of the best cameras you can get to start out in film photography if anyone's interested, because it has that program mode, which is effectively auto mode. So yeah, I got into film photography as a way to keep my creative juices flowing. And then I thought, I've always been interested in video as well. I wanted to vlog when I was in Wuhan, but I didn't have the balls, if I'm going to be frank, to do it. I did film, like, I did actually I did a daily vlog for like 40, 50 days, but I
Oh,
deleted it all. because in the end, I look back and it was just like, oh, it's cringe, it's horrible. So yeah, I've always been interested in video as well, so it was kind of natural for me to put two and two together and do like film photography videos just to keep myself occupied during the pandemic, really, and the lockdown.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's funny, yeah, that you mentioned vlogging as like my friends will tell you, before starting, because I started my YouTube channel, like actually started it in January of this year. Before for like a few years now, I've been like, yeah, I'm gonna start vlogging as well. I want to say in 2018 was the first time I thought of the idea. And then similar to you, I mean, it's very impressive that you vlogged for 45, 50 days that you said.
something
Um,
like that. Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Some of the videos were 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? But I was consistent for like 40, 50 days. I would upload something.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Every time, like you said, like you kind of get in your head like, oh yeah, this is shit. I'm just gonna delete it. It was a
Yeah.
very similar like process to me. Like I'll make something. Even I'm not sure if you sat down and edited the videos as well, your vlogs.
Yeah, I did, but like,
Mm.
it was brief. It wasn't. I didn't put a lot of effort into it, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Same here. Like I'd start um editing one of the videos and be like, wow, this is gonna be like complete trash, and then just gonna scrap the idea. Um, and I feel like that ties into what you said a bit earlier for one of the earlier questions that you kind of just gotta go out and do it. Like, it's easier said than done, definitely. But for, not just photography, vlogging, just life in general, you just gotta take that first step, start doing whatever you want to do, and, kind of take it one step at a time.
Yeah, I think if it feels uncomfortable, it's usually good.
Definitely.
If you're doing what you want to do and it feels uncomfortable, then you're learning something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's good. You know, I learned that I didn't want to do daily vlogs.
Yeah.
So, um, you got to try lots of different things, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like you said, hopping out of your comfort zone because you're not going to, grow, learn anything if you stay, kind of in your box wherever you're comfy.
Yeah, that's right.
And like you said,
Sorry,
even sorry, yeah.
is it all right to drink on stream? I have no idea. Like, I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
drinking a
for sure.
beer here.
Yeah,
Is that all right?
for sure.
Cheers.
Um, yeah, I was just gonna say, shoot, I lost my train of thought there. But unless you have anything else to add to this point, we can move on to one of the other questions here in chat as well.
Sure.
That connects to what we have next. So, yeah, the question is what other cities would you love to visit and photograph, and why these cities? And sorry, before you answer right now, I do have your pictures from Kazakhstan up displaying on the chat. So,
Okay,
if you
cool.
want to add in,
Yeah.
your other cities that you've already been to, yeah, you can do that as well.
So all the pictures in the Kazakhstan folder from Almaty, which is the city that's closest to my girlfriend's hometown. So my girlfriend is Kazakh. That's why I went to Kazakhstan. Amazing country again. Amazing city, Almaty, actually. But yeah, if I'm going to talk about what other cities would I love to visit, I'm going to hit you with a massive cliche. New York is number one. I know it's like everyone's number one for every single hobby on the planet or every single thing. Everyone wants to go to New York. But it is, I mean, for photography and especially street photography, there's no quite, it's another cliche, but there's no place like it. Um, we'll move on from that though. I think another city I'd like to go to is San Francisco. I think the States, like America and Canada as well. I've always wanted to go to Vancouver for some reason. I've got this like thing about Vancouver. But yeah, like anywhere, Cali, San Fran, anywhere in America, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because I've never been. I'm really interested in America. So I think that would be, if I could choose a place to go next, it would be America, I
Yeah.
think, and just travel all over those cities.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
you said you haven't been to like New York or anything yet, right?
No, no, no. I haven't been to America,
Mm-hmm.
any of
Oh,
the
yeah. Yeah.
Americas. Like I haven't been that way in the world. I've gone east, but not west. So
Yeah. Time to try the other side of the world then.
yeah, I think so. I'll go to Edmonton. I will. I will.
Are you? Do
That's
you see the?
Canada, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, Edmonton.
Mhm.
Is that British Columbia?
No, that's we live in Edmonton. I live in Edmonton
Oh,
in
sorry, God, I've
Alberta.
got confused.
No, no
I'm not
worries.
good. I'm not good
Like they
with
said in
geography.
chat, no one wants to visit Edmonton.
I will one day.
Yeah. Um, Not much to see. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's a nice little visit.
I don't know, maybe though. Like you say that. I mean, I think that's what when you're from. I think that's why I have this problem with Newport. That's a really interesting point, actually. It's like, oh, there's nothing to see, and I think that's what people say when they're from there. But if I go there, I'll probably see because I've got like in a sense, a new set of eyes. You live there. You see the same thing every day. It's the same thing for me here, and I see the same thing every day. And your inspiration leaves you, and you don't really see the outside as like interesting or inspiring. So I think that's an important point. Is to try to keep that spark there for your hometown and things like that. It's really, really, really difficult though, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that is a yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, that is true. Being in that city, like you said, with for you Newport and for me Edmonton, yeah, it can very much drain away your creativity for that place. And I feel like one of the things is that you stop looking for new places in your city. Kind of those
Yeah.
low key places because you're like, what, if I'm in Edmonton, I'll go to these like five places or these seven places, whatever. And yeah, like you said, it can really like suck out the creativity if you don't explore your city more, I guess, and kind of view your city through a different lens. So that's a really good point as well.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me.
And then just continuing off that last question, yeah, so yeah, you said the states in general, um, and then yeah, you said Kazakhstan. Yeah, then adding on to that question, I guess, because you said you're not planning on going back to Wuhan. What would be your next step? As much as you want to share, if you have anything in mind, that is.
Um, I don't really know because honestly, everything's so uncertain. It's been so uncertain for like a year. I really like. I had plans and they're gone now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first thing will be to travel back to Kazakhstan to see my girlfriend's family because she's been here with me and she hasn't seen her family for a long time. So I think that's the most important thing on our agenda right now. So it will be Kazakhstan, the next country that I visit. But once all that's done and settled, I don't really know. Like, I'll probably set up a base in the UK, and I'd like to sort of frequently travel. I guess that's what I would do. But I don't know. I could turn around next week and say, oh, I'm going to live in Argentina. There's no idea. Literally no idea. Like,
Mm-hmm. That's all part of the process, honestly, not knowing.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of stressful as well
Mm-hmm.
for this long, like not knowing what the next move is.
Yeah, yeah, because it has like you said, it's been a year and a half now, actually, of this
Yeah,
uncertainty for a lot of people.
yeah.
And then I guess tying into this, you can go into this as much as you want, because especially with like we were talking about the past year and a half with everything that's been happening. But just in general, people focusing more on photography again, being in a creative rut, feeling either mentally or physically exhausted. All those those negative aspects of this, I guess, job, this lifestyle. How do you, when you're in those states, how do you push through?
Um, I stop really. This is how I do it. I just stop. I put the camera down, and it could be weeks. It could be up to like 6 weeks. I don't take a photo, you know. And I've really slowed down anyway over this. I've really noticed. Like I used to go out every single day, man, and I'd be like shooting hundreds of photos a day, like all the time. But now I'm really slowed down. But I'm okay with that. Slower is better for me at the moment. But um, like I said, if I am in a real bad place, I stop, put the camera down, focus on, what the problem is. It can be like I've got into meditation, I've got into sort of healthy living. Well, I say that when I'm sat here with a beer, but um, just try to like do right by yourself. It's easier than ever to fall into like a depressive state or a creative rut, like we said. So I think it's important just to sometimes acknowledge that, I just got to take some time out and see what's going on in my head, and I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely
But
very, yeah.
there is the other way where people say brute force, keep doing what you're doing, like keep shooting, like you got to do what works for you, which could be many different things. But yeah, just either stop or keep going. That's my advice.
No other option
I
because
don't know, man.
no, there's
I don't
a
know.
yeah, that's a good point. And my I guess thought process on the subject is similar to how you were saying. Kind of stop, take some time away. But that last point you made is a good point that you gotta do what works for you. Some people they just have to push through, right? Um, so yeah, I never personally really thought of it that way because for me I was like, yeah, if you're overwhelmed, stressed out, just take a break, step back. But that is a good point that for some people all they have to do is keep going until they are out of it, I guess.
Hmm. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, like one of the biggest problems was like, you know, I used to be like not recently, but I used to be like, oh, how can I grow my Instagram? How can I do this? How can I do that? And I was always just like concentrating on like what I need to do. So I need to post consistently every day. I got to post something every day, and I put so much pressure on myself. And then I was like, oh, I don't like that photo. Like I can't post every day. So it was like this real like inner fight in my mind, but it's stupid. Just you don't have to like, you know, I don't know. Instagram is dead for me now. I think like I'm not like really trying to sort of grow. Um, there's other ways to. So basically, what I'm trying to say is social media is not the be all and end all of like photography or like sort of any career really. I think not just Instagram, across the whole board. And I think it's really important to find ways to work. At least this is for me, guys. This works for me. It could be completely different for you, okay? But for me, it's important for me to find ways to work without social media, like not relying on social media. Like, so that's why, like, I thought, right, let's make a book. That answers the previous question. There's another point to that. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say. I've gone off on a tangent again. Sorry.
No, I think that was a very good tangent actually. Um, the whole social media aspect, yeah, especially like you're saying with photography, with something that in this day and age is very focused on social media, Instagram, YouTube, and I was watching this other podcast with Peter McKinnon. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah, I know Peter can
Yeah.
not personally.
Oh
I just
yeah,
know of him. Yeah, I
for
watch
sure.
his videos.
Definitely, yeah, and him and Maddie were talking about how there's always something new coming up. Yeah, like Instagram. All right, you're posting pictures on Instagram, but you also, there's YouTube. You gotta be posting your vlogs, your videos, whatever you're doing on YouTube, right? And then all of a sudden, people are reaching out on you to you on Twitter. So now you're posting on Twitter as well, keeping people updated on that. And
Yeah.
then in recent times, you got TikTok. So it's like do you post on TikTok as well? And then live streaming on Twitch, like all these different social medias, and it can be like very overwhelming, like you were saying,
Yeah.
especially for like creatives, for people in photography, and similar professions. It's just because yeah, a lot of you see is that social media is the way to go about it. That social media is kind of the end all be all of photography. So it is a really good point that you gotta kind of take a step back and go back to like the basics of photography. That you're just here, enjoying life, taking the pictures that you want to take,
Yeah.
not for some algorithm or anything.
Yeah. However, I will say though, on the other hand, I credit a lot to social media. Like I have got most of my opportunities from social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying it's not important because it really is, and it's vital actually that I would argue for anyone that wants to get into any creative thing now. You need to have a social media presence. But I think for me now, I've realized I'm trying to strike like a nice balance with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
not get too deep into it, and also sort of use it well, if you know what I mean.
For sure, yeah.
What's right for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I hope it didn't come off that I was saying, stop all social media, just cut off everything.
Oh no, no,
Um,
no. Well, that's what I thought I was saying, so I wanted to
oh
make
yeah,
that point
no,
as well.
no,
I was like,
definitely,
no, no, no. You got to find the balance. I think that's
exactly.
that's the point we're trying to make here, and that
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
find
yeah,
the balance.
yeah. Because personally speaking, I don't know how I would have gotten any work, any growth if it wasn't for social media. But yeah, like you
Yeah,
said, at the same time, it's all about that balance.
it is.
Um, Anyway, since we're approaching kind of towards the end of our time here, one I guess major question I had, kind of the namesake of this entire show, is what would you say is your creative process? What kind of inspires you? What's going through your mind before you go out and take pictures?
It's a really good question, right? Because a lot of the time, I don't really go out with a. Okay, so I think I'm at a point of transition right now, which we spoke about briefly before when I was speaking to you. I'm at this place where I've just gone out and I've gone out with a camera and I've just had instant, excuse me, sorry, instant inspiration. I've gone out with my camera and I'm just sort of reacting instinctively, um, which is not much of a creative process, really, is it? It's kind of like random, but I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of reading about photography, and I know what I want to do now, so I can share what I think that I'll be doing going forward, which is to isolate. So I'm going to be focusing on street photography, but I'm going to try to sort of theme my shoots from now on. So I'll go out for a day and I'll have a theme that I want to hit. It could be as simple as a color. It could be something like hats. It could be um, anything, anything like that. Sort of isolate it down a bit. And then usually I'll come home and I'll edit. I used to edit straight away. I used to go out and shoot and edit straight away, but now I don't do that. Now I sort of leave it a day at least. Um, I don't know why. I think it. One of my lecturers in university had a really good way of putting it with film, and he was like, "You need to kill your babies," which sounds really thing, but you sort of get attached to the emotion. Like if I go out and shoot, I'll think I know what's good, and I'll think I know what's bad because of what happened in the situation when I was there. But I think it's good to, for me at least, it's good to detach myself from that, and then come home, take a day minimum, maybe a couple, then edit. So I don't really, I'm going at it with a bit of a fresh mind. Um, because I tend to post a lot of photos now that I wouldn't have in the past and things like that. So I think the main thing, it just comes down to patience, doesn't it? I think that's been the running theme for me really is slowing down, patience. Yeah. So yeah, there's no real set creative process for me. It's very loose. Um, so why the hell do you have me on this podcast, mate? No,
Kind
I'm just,
of going out and shooting. That is a creative process.
no, it is. It is. Yeah, it's just a bit of a loose one, I
A
guess.
loose one, yeah. And I feel like because you primarily do street photography, urban photography, that it makes sense that your creative process is to not have a creative process, because a
Yeah,
lot of it is like, going out on the streets, capturing whatever you can see, whatever you find, I guess.
yeah, that's right. I mean, it is very it's a spontaneous profession, isn't it? So
Definitely.
it just maybe it makes sense for me to be spontaneous in my approach.
Hmm. Yeah, going back to the whole kill your babies. That's actually one of my favorite sayings, because I've heard it in like a few different art forms. Like in writing, for example, it's kill your babies, as in like kill your characters if they've
Yeah,
reached their usefulness essentially in the story.
yeah,
And in photography, yeah, I a lot of people do a lot of photographers, they do echo this concept that, take a step back, leave your work for like a day or even longer, however long you need, and then go back to it and then see like, oh hey, like, is this a good photo, was, or is it a bad photo, is the edit good? And then like you said, yeah, sometimes you'll look at a picture and then I don't know, maybe it's just yeah, maybe it's just like some anxiety, maybe some own stress that we're putting on ourselves, that you look at it and be like, oh wow, this photo sucks, but then give some time in between, look at it again, and then you'll realize that it was just that initial, I guess, anxiety in a way that was stopping you
yeah,
from realizing it's a solid picture.
yeah. You can have a emotional attachment to things like
Mm-hmm.
that, can't you? Like I don't know. Yeah, I've definitely had it myself. It happened with my book because I sort of we were going over a pool of images and Philip, who runs ADM Publishing, was like, "Oh, I really love these photos," and I was like, "Oh, no, 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 don't use," And I was really thinking like, "Don't use that one, no, no." But he was like, "No, no, 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 no." Like, so it's also good to have other people to sort of have a look at your work and they'll see things that you don't, and you may have biases about certain images and things like that. I don't know. It just
Mm,
you've got to sort of be as open as possible, I
for
guess,
sure.
to let
Hmm.
other people have a look at your work, and you can either tell them to f off or yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely. And it works both ways as well, in the sense that like you're saying, you can get attached both or like have an emotional response, both like positive and negative. Sometimes you'll be like, I took this picture, like it's it's like the best picture that anyone's ever taken, right? And then you take a little break, separate yourself from it, come back, and you realize, wow, this is like this is not worth using for anything. And then on the flip side, you could take a picture, be like, oh no, what was I thinking with this? It's a terrible picture.
Yeah,
And again, look at it again. And of course, yeah, getting insight from other people as well. Actually, yeah, kind of similar to this for myself. Whenever I do a shoot of any kind, to be honest, like when I send the pictures to like clients, or if I'm doing it with friends or whoever, um, they can kind of like, of course they'll give their feedback. And I've never actually had a negative experience with a client that I recall, but in the back of my mind there's the anxiety that, even if they're like, wow, like great work, I love the pictures, blah blah blah. There's like this I guess anxiety in the back of my mind that's like, oh, what if they're just being nice? I could have done this better, could have done that better.
yeah,
um so it's you definitely kind of need to separate yourself, be open to whatever you've created.
yeah. I would totally agree with you, 100%.
Sure.
Totally
um
agree.
all right, man, I think we're closing in our time. I'm just scrolling through, make sure.
That's what
I
I was
think
doing.
we answered all the questions in chat as well. Hopefully, if there's anything missed or anyone in chat wants to talk to Matt, go ahead, feel free, of course, to message him, yeah, if he's fine with that.
No worries.
Yeah,
I'll talk to anyone, mate.
for sure. I mean, you replied
Not
to me,
anyone, but
so yeah. Not anyway, yeah, for sure.
any cool people, school.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on, mate. I really enjoyed it. It's been nice to speak to you, and you never know. Maybe we can do something again soon, like something, anything.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll come over to Canada. You can come over here. We'll get some photography stuff going, man.
Yeah, definitely. It was honestly an honor to speak to you. Thank you again for like hopping on. As you know, this is like the first episode, so I hope like the entire process was good for you. And
The
definitely,
bar's
yeah,
pretty low from me, mate, so it's only going to get better for me, so don't worry.
awesome.
And thanks to everyone
um,
watching as well, by the way. Thanks.
yeah, they're sending their thanks as well. A couple
Yeah,
people in chat, and yeah, I'm like I told you before that we're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube right now. So I'm not sure if you can see all the chats.
I can only see the one restreamed, to be honest, this one here.
Oh yeah, Root should be giving you all of them, I
Oh, right,
believe.
okay. Oh, yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, thanks again, and for sure, if you're ever in Canada, hit me up, and if I'm ever in Wales, of course, I'll reach out to you as well. And
I
in the
will, mate.
meantime, we can definitely work on some stuff as well, hopefully in the future,
Awesome. Looking forward to it all.
for sure. All right,
Wicked.
man, take care.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Alrighty, gang. Thanks for tuning in. Our little yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope episode 1 was good for you guys. If you have any even the chats that we didn't talk about during the live, I was reading them all. If you guys have any questions, any feedback as to how the live was, of course, I'd happily love to hear from all of you. Yeah, thanks again for everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next live, whenever that is. And now I'm gonna awkwardly shut it down. Okay. Okay, take care, guys.